Imagine walking down a busy city street. Suddenly, the ground shakes, and a 15-foot wall of molasses comes rushing toward you at highway speed. This isn't a joke. This actually happened. On January 15th, 1919, in Boston, a disaster so strange and so deadly unfolded that many people refused to believe it at first. This is the story of the Great Molasses Flood, one of the deadliest and most bizarre disasters in American history. But it was just after noon in Boston's North End. The air was unusually warm for winter. People were eating lunch. Children were playing in the streets. Dock workers were going about their day. Nearby stood a massive steel tank, over 50 feet tall, 90 feet wide, holding 2.3 million gallons of molasses. Molasses wasn't unusual back then. It was used to make industrial alcohol, ammunition, and explosives during World War I. This tank had been quietly looming over the neighborhood for years. But residents had noticed something strange. The tank leaked constantly. Molasses oozed from its seams. Children collected it in cans. Locals joked that the tank groaned and creaked like it was alive. No one imagined what was coming next. At 12:40 p.m., the tank suddenly ruptured. There was no warning. A deep rumble shook the ground. Then an explosion so loud it sounded like artillery fire. The steel tank burst apart, and a 15-foot-high wave of molasses surged into the streets at up to 35 miles per hour. Buildings were crushed. Telephone poles snapped like matchsticks. A nearby firehouse was knocked off its foundation. People were knocked unconscious instantly. Others were swept away. Molasses doesn't flow like water. It's thick, heavy, sticky. As the wave slowed, it trapped everything in its path: horses, wagons, cars, and people. Imagine trying to run, but every step pulls you deeper. Imagine screaming, but your mouth fills with syrup. Some victims were buried waist-deep. Others were completely submerged. One man was found wrapped in molasses so tightly he looked fossilized. Another victim was discovered days later, still trapped beneath debris, preserved by the sticky syrup. In total, 21 people were killed. More than 150 were injured. Many died not from impact, but from slow suffocation. Rescue efforts were chaotic. Firefighters, police, sailors, and civilians rushed in. They waded through molasses up to their knees, sometimes their chests. The syrup hardened as temperatures dropped, making movement nearly impossible. Rescuers used planks to avoid getting stuck themselves. Some had to be pulled out after becoming trapped while trying to save others. The cleanup took weeks. Salt water from the harbor was pumped into the streets to wash the molasses away. But it didn't work well. For months, Boston smelled like sugar. Some residents claimed the city smelled of molasses for years afterward. So how did something like this happen? The tank was owned by the United States Industrial Alcohol Company. It was built quickly, cheaply, and never properly tested. No engineer had inspected it. No safety checks were done. The company rushed construction to meet wartime demand. When the tank leaked, instead of fixing it, they simply painted it brown so no one could see the molasses seeping out. On the day of the disaster, a sudden rise in temperature caused the molasses to expand and ferment, increasing pressure inside the tank. The steel couldn't handle it, and the tank exploded. What happened next changed American history. The victims' families sued, and for the first time, a massive corporation was held legally responsible for a disaster caused by negligence. After 6 years of court battles, the company was found liable. They paid damages equivalent to millions of dollars today. This case helped establish modern standards for corporate responsibility, engineering safety, and public accountability. The molasses flood wasn't just a strange accident. It became a turning point. Today, there's no giant tank in Boston's North End, no brown syrup in the streets, but the story still lingers. Half forgotten, half unbelievable. A reminder that some of history's deadliest disasters don't come from wars or earthquakes. They come from shortcuts, from ignoring warnings, from assuming nothing could go wrong. So now let me ask you, if someone told you a wave of molasses once destroyed a city street, would you have believed them? Because on one winter afternoon in 1919, Boston learned that even something sweet can turn deadly. If you want more true stories like this, strange, forgotten, and terrifyingly real, consider subscribing. History has no shortage of disasters we've tried to forget,